To make this video quick, stick to companies that are going to be relevant in your future. Think about Tesla, think about Nvidia, think about Palantir, and also think about just in general the Mag 7, which one has the most upside potential in your opinion, right? Doing your own due diligence, and then here I'm going to go ahead and share my personal opinion. Be sure to just follow through, and again, only invest with what you can afford to not have at the moment. Personally, this is what I'm doing long term. I'm going to go ahead and share with you my personal strategy and what I've been doing for my long-term portfolio. What I've been doing is just investing into companies that I firmly believe that will stick around for the next 10 to 20 years, possibly the next 20 to 30 years. And again, depending on your age, right, pick companies that you think are going to be relevant in your lifetime. And so with Nvidia being said here, Nvidia here currently at 101. I mentioned this tons of times in our previous videos. Personally, I think Nvidia here is a really good dip opportunity. I know I mentioned below 117 down to about $96 is a really good entry point, but if I'm going to be holding Nvidia here for a really long time, 10 to 20 years, possibly 20 to 30 years, I personally believe anything below the 200-day moving average is a really good dip opportunity. Now, I'm not saying put your entire life savings into Nvidia stock or any of these other stocks I'm going to mention. I'm just saying personally, I wouldn't mind dollar cost averaging into Nvidia, whether it's small positions or medium positions at a time. Whatever I'm personally comfortable with, as long as it's below the 200-day moving average, I'm going to be consistently adding into Nvidia here. And long term, again, if you want to compare it from our current price here at 101, long term, within 1 or 2 years, we should be able to see a retest of the all-time high at 153. That is going to be a 50% move towards the all-time high from our current prices. So the second stock here is going to be Tesla. Tesla here currently at 240. Now, I also mentioned this one. While we were below 250, I wouldn't mind adding a big position. And if you take a look at here at on the daily chart, below the 200-day moving average, which is anything below 290, I think I wouldn't mind adding a small position here, right? Long term, same thing here. I do expect to see this 100% mover all the way back to the all-time high at 488. And again, what am I doing now at Tesla while it's at 240? I don't mind adding a position here into Tesla. And any of our previous video, if you watched it, I mentioned that I don't mind adding a bigger position here, okay? So I'm not saying add your entire life savings, right? I'm just saying I don't mind personally adding a bigger position here into Tesla. I'm looking to hold, again, 10 to 20, possibly 20 to 30 years. I expect to see a lot more upside here for Tesla stock. Now, my mistake was in the past, I was too diversified, right? I had over 40 stocks in my portfolio. Now, do whatever you want, right? Invest in the S&P 500 if you want to consistently have the, average of 10% each year. I think that's what it is, right? Historically. But if you want to pick your own stocks, make sure you do your own due diligence. Make sure you understand why you are invested into the stock you are trading or adding to your portfolio, right? So, for example, for me, I believe Tesla, Nvidia, and Palantir are going to be relevant in my future. I also think Apple is going to be relevant in my future as well, right? We know everyone's having iPhones, and then you know that the technology for Apple, Nvidia, and Tesla is all relevant, right? Same for Palantir as well. So with Nvidia and Tesla said already, I'm going to go ahead and share it with you my personal analysis on Apple, right? Same thing here. On the daily chart, while we are below 227, which is the 200-day moving average, I don't mind adding into Apple long term. Anytime we are below the 200-day moving average, I think it's a really good opportunity. Even if we are above the 200-day moving average, I don't mind dollar cost averaging, right? If I'm consistently doing this without looking at the chart. But because we are below the 200-day moving average for a majority of the Mag 7, I really think it's a good time to be adding into long term. All right, so kind of like doubling down while we're below the 200-day moving average, while we are in a potential bear market or a correction, right? This could be a really good dip opportunity. So here, Apple is at 197. If you compare its current price here all the way back up to the all-time high, that's a 34% move almost, all right? And again, I personally wouldn't want to be buying Apple stock while it's up here at like 250 just to potentially have a risk of it sliding down in the short term, right? But again, long term, 10, 20, 30 years, I think Apple stock is going to be a lot higher than where it is today. Let's go ahead and take a look at Palantir here. This is the fourth stock I'm mentioning today. So again, so far we have Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, and then now Palantir. Palantir here is going to be quite a bit riskier one here. We are at $94 and we are above the 200-day moving average. This one we've been loading in. If you watched any of our previous videos on the YouTube channel, we talked about Palantir here when it was between $20 and $26. We mentioned that this was a dip opportunity and a loading zone. And now here we rode it all the way up to 125. We had this gap here, right? When we pumped all the way to 125, there was a potential gap fill here towards the downside. We completed that, and we also found a potential support here at $65, which here we hit a low of 66. Now reclaiming between these two ranges of 80 and 97. So personally, for me, my own portfolio for Palantir, I don't mind adding a position here between 80 and 97, possibly a small position just in case, right? I want to save cash for Palantir if it dips back down below $80. Anywhere between 80 and 65, that's where I would personally be adding a bigger position into Palantir stock. And again, long term, if you want to compare it from its current price here, back at the all-time high, right around a 33% move, all right? So you have Palantir here with a 33% move back up. You have Apple here, again, with a 34% move. You've got Nvidia here, again, let's zoom out here, with a 50% move, right? And then Tesla here with a 102% move. We know that the Mag 7 typically retests the all-time high. Do what you want with that information. And again, we are below the 200-day moving average. I'm just sharing with you guys, and I'm just saying this, I think, is a really good dip opportunity. There's a lot of fear in the market right now in terms of a recession. What do you want to do when that happens, right? Let's just take a look at the S&P 500, for example, right? We zoom out here to the weekly chart. Every time there's been a big dip, no matter how long it lasted, right, there's always been a recovery historically, and we've always retested the all-time high. Now, of course, like, it's possible. What if we don't, right? But just look at history, right? We've had so many dips and corrections and recessions, and again, this is just another dip opportunity. Of course, it's extremely volatile here if you view it in the weekly chart. The last couple of weeks here have been extremely big. We've had 5% moves in one single day for the S&P 500. So again, I'm not expecting to make any profits in the short term. Expect to be holding long term, 10 to 20 to 30 years. Look far out, especially now this is targeting those that are young, especially if you are younger, you have a lot of time in your life. You are going to be able to ride this wave up towards the top side, especially if you have more time on your side. So if you are young, I personally would be invested in the stock market right now, whether it's $1, $2, $10. It doesn't matter how much money. I think all that matters is that you get your foot wet and you get started here into investing in the stock market. Don't look for any short-term profits, right? My personal opinion here, if you are looking to play it safe, you can look into an S&P 500 or SPY or VU, right? Specifically VU here. The expense ratio here is a lot cheaper. And then if you are going to be nitpicking stocks, I personally really would look at the Mag 7. And again, this is leaning into tech, right? But we have Apple, like I mentioned, Nvidia, Tesla, and then of course Palantir, right? Feel free to also take a look at Google if you like. Of course, if we're going to continue into talking about the Mag 7, you've got Google here all the way at 150, right? You compare the current price all the way to the all-time high at 206. That's almost 35. It's pretty much 35% there. And if you're viewing this on the daily chart, you can see we are below the 200-day moving average. There's also Meta, right? Instagram, Facebook, right? Here we are at 502, all the way back to the all-time high. That's a 46% move, right? Again, below the 200-day moving average as well. All right. The last one I believe I didn't go over yet is going to be Microsoft. Microsoft here at 368. Okay. Compare this from our current price here all the way back to the all-time high. Again, 26.5% move. I'm not expecting any recovery anytime soon. I'm not expecting to make profits in 1 week or 1 month. Again, really zoom out and look far out. Think about where we are, right? Think about the dip opportunity, and then think about it long term. If you are viewing this from a long term perspective, really don't think about profits in the next couple of months here. I think just be patient, dollar cost average, and invest into the stocks that you are comfortable with. And again, here I am just sharing the Mag 7, pretty safe in my personal opinion and experience as well. I'm really comfortable about holding Tesla, even though it's been extremely volatile here during the last 4 or 5 years. Nvidia as well. I think this is a really good dip opportunity to be taking advantage of, right? So we got Nvidia, Tesla, and then again, I know I mentioned the Mag 7 in total, but personally, I want to lean in towards Tesla, Nvidia, Palantir, as well as Apple, right? I think these are the most innovative, and these are the ones I'm personally keeping an eye out for. And again, if you don't have a community to share about stocks with, feel free to join our Discord. It's free to join. QR code on the left side there. Also, first link down below in the description. 32,000 people, free to join. Come on in, chat about any stock you want. All these tickers that I mentioned, we do have a specific chat section for them, and I do share my technical analysis there on a daily basis. But again, those are mainly for short-term traders if you're looking for short-term analysis. In a broad term, right, if you're looking to go long-term, I think just dollar cost average and look to possibly double down during bigger dips. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, and if there's any stocks I didn't mention, let me know what stocks that you are personally, again, looking to go long-term in. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe, like the video, and turn on notifications if you want to support our channel. And last but not least, if you are looking for trade ideas and looking for live entries and exits on stocks and options, we do share our live entries and exits. And again, we're not forcing anyone to buy, sell, or hold. We are just sharing our personal trade ideas, and people are more than welcome to ask questions. And again, not all trades are going to be successful. We just share our personal trade ideas and then have people learn from them. So sometimes we also learn ourselves as well. And again, that link is going to be Patreon. QR code on the left side there for Patreon. Joining Patreon will unlock the VIP channels on the Discord. Also, second link down below in the description, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.